Hey guys, it's Destiny, and in today's video, I'm going to be discussing whether or not I personally think Honkai Star Rail is very free to play or not free to play, and without further ado, let's get straight into it. So a lot of you may be wondering how free to play is Honkai Star Rail, and after playing the beta and thinking about a few things on my own, I feel like I have a decent answer, just dependent on the beta. Not too sure on full release, but with full release I'll also get to that in a bit. Regarding Honkai Star Rail, I feel like the game is very maybe like 50-50, maybe 70-30 at best. 70 being free to play, 30 being not necessarily pay to win, but more so you would have to be really smart with your currency. The reason why I say this is because the game is heavily dependent on characters. It's really dependent on characters due to the fact that enemies have certain weaknesses. And most enemies do have multiple weaknesses, which I think is a great thing to consider. But the issue is, let's say hypothetically you do not have an advantage over the enemy and you cannot break their toughness meter, which is above their normal health bar, then defeating that enemy will be a lot of trouble. And it's just really difficult due to the fact that that enemy will not be taking as much damage in comparison if you did break the toughness meter. So that is a thing to consider right away. And the fact that it is element dependent really does show that, okay, you will definitely need characters of different elements, which there are 7 elements in the game. So that is quite a few elements you do have to try to obtain. Throughout the story though, we do get a lot of free characters, or at least a decent amount. When you start the game, you get characters like March 7th and Dong Hung, at least in the beta you do. March 7th is honestly one of the best free-to-play characters, I would say, due to the fact that she's able to create a shield for any of your teammates, and let's say you get hit while you do have the shield, March 7th will also do a counterattack against the enemy, but the only issue with March 7th is that she doesn't really do too much damage, but her utility is honestly amazing, and she can also freeze enemies, which can practically skip their turn at times, or even allow you to possibly go before them due to the fact that their turn is skipped, whatever it may be. But March 7th, in my opinion, is by far one of the best free-to-play characters I've so far played with. Additionally, if you are enjoying this video so far and it is helping you out, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and now let's carry on. Don Hong is decent, although I feel like he can easily be replaced by a better DPS character. Overall though, throughout the story, at least in the beta, you do get multiple characters for free. You do get Natasha for free, who is also a healer character. You do get her a bit later on, but in the game you will either need, in my opinion, a healer or a shielder on your team. So if you're not a huge fan of healers, you could just use March 7th and call it a day, and I feel like March 7th once again is a really good character to have, and I feel like it is really free to play friendly, just the fact that she offers so much utility and you literally get her right away, which I heavily appreciate that. As to why it won't be free to play is primarily due to the fact that, well, you do need those characters. You need more characters, I would say, than the ones you do get throughout the story. At least the ones I've seen so far that you get throughout the story. I would say you would likely want more characters beyond that. The MC is not a bad character. I do think the MC becomes better when the MC becomes a fire MC with their element, which I think is pretty good that that is available option, which means that essentially the MC will be able to change elements seemingly as the story goes on. So I'm sure the MC can become all 7 elements at some point, because currently we know that MC can be physical and fire, so that is also really good. So the MC is very viable. Or let's say you have an ice character and your only ice character is March 7th, and let's just say Herta, because you do get Herta as well for free, and she is technically sort of like a DPS, but in my opinion I don't think she does too much damage, at least from what I've experienced. But overall, let's just say you have characters that are the elements to break the shields, but they don't do enough damage. If they don't do enough damage, they're not really going to be breaking the toughness meter fast enough, and due to that, you will still have that same persistent issue I mentioned in the beginning, where you can't break the toughness meter in time, or whatever it may be, and the enemy might actually wipe you out before you can wipe them out. Of course, though, strategy does play a huge part in this, because if you are, very strategic with how you play and you have correct timings for your skills, your ultimates, and so on, then honestly, I think you'll be okay with all the free-to-play characters. And so far in the beta, I've been primarily only playing with the free-to-play characters since I don't have that many characters in the game yet. And so far, I've not been experiencing too many issues, which I think is honestly a great thing. But I do know for the harder content in the game, which can be the Forgotten Hall, I believe it's called, and there's also the Simulated Universe, you will definitely need stronger characters, or rather stronger team comps for those. But then again, those challenges are meant to be really challenging. They're meant to be difficult, and there will be, I believe, 2 more modes that the beta does not have. So overall, there's going to be challenges throughout the game that do require you to have really good team comps, really good team synergies, whatever it may be. And in my opinion, that's where it comes in, where it's like, okay, you do need quite a few characters. But overall, I would say the game, just from a free-to-play standpoint, is not that bad. I think it's decent. I don't really like the fact that you do really need those characters, as I keep saying. But at the same time, it is a gacha game as well, so you have to consider that factor. I will say though, throughout playing the beta, the premium currency I do receive is not much. I did mention this in a prior video, which I think personally could be a pretty bad problem, or rather an issue for those, you know, like we're just starting off. If we don't get that many goodies, then it's gonna be really hard to actually get more characters. So I'm hoping when the game does come out, they do bump up the goodies. If the beta has a survey, I'm likely going to fill out that survey and tell them probably to bump up the premium currency we receive a bit more, just so we can have a bit more pulls. And I feel like day one, since it is going to be a new game, I feel like it will be really generous with how many pulls we do get. So I feel like that will help the free-to-play players even more. But I will say one thing about this game that I've noticed as well, due to how much premium currency we do get. In this game, you should not necessarily be chasing meta. You should really only be going for the characters you really like, which I think is perfectly fine, as I plan to primarily go for characters I like. I may summon for majority of characters if I can afford it, due to the fact that I will like to make videos on these characters. But if I had to look at it from a low spender standpoint, or even free to play standpoint, you definitely have to prioritize which characters you really want. Because even in games like Genshin or even Honkai Impact, you do have to skip certain banners if you do want somebody else that it's an upcoming banner. Like, let's say the first banner is, let's just say hypothetically it's Kafka, and you don't really want her. And you want, let's say, a different character that comes right after her. In that case, if you don't really want her or you only semi want her, then I would just recommend you skip her and then just go for the next banner, see how it goes. I will say though, with the pity, since it is basically Genshin's pity, saving will definitely be very important in this game, so it is just a thing to keep in mind when the game does come out. Even if we do get a lot of currency like launch day, I would still say to be really smart with your currency so you can actually pull those characters you really do want, as honestly that's the point of the game. The point of the game is to experience this really immersive story, which by the way, so far I'm loving the story. The story is amazing. Like, I'm really hooked, and I've been having so much fun with the game. But the point of the game is to, you know, have fun. Just have fun with how you're playing, have fun with these characters. They all have really likable traits to them. I like a lot of these characters, their personalities are really cool, and seeing them in the story especially is even cooler, since you get to see how they interact with other characters, and it's just so much fun in my opinion. I really love the interactive stages in the game. I really like how you can also text characters in the game and have little conversations on the phone in the game. I think it's really cute. And overall, the game has so far has been amazing, really fun, highly recommend it honestly. But as for people who are free to play, I would still recommend the game honestly, and I think the game will be really good for those who, you know, are low spenders or free to play. Just gotta keep in mind how much currency you have and, you know, save for characters you really want. Because the point is, once again, just to have fun and have a good time with the immersive story and so on. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I kind of went all over the place, but I just kind of got all my thoughts out about whether or not the game is very free to play, if it's more like, I guess, quote unquote pay to win. I don't think it's pay to win. I just think that characters, once again, really matter a lot. And overall, though, I feel like the game will be awesome for anybody. Whether you're a whale, you're a low spender, you're free to play, I think it'll be an enjoyable experience for everyone, which is really what matters and what counts. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments down below, which character do you really want the most? Like, who's your favorite? Who do you want? All that good stuff. And leave a like, all that. And I hope to see you guys next time. Peace.